Hey there, pond prowler people. Terry here, coming to you from Southern California. My subscriber Alan, we're going to be working on his boat today. I have a video out there that, has the finished product on my boat for the Transom Flex fix. But since he wanted me to actually install this and build this from scratch for him, I'm gonna go ahead and video that, and then you guys can get an actual step-by-step video of how I did it. So let's do it.
Sounds good.
So right now, his option to stiffen the transom was this configuration here. It didn't quite do the job because it wasn't able to stop the the side to side or the front to back flex that's inside, that I had shown you before on the other video that gave you the tour of what's in there. So I'm going to take some of this off. I'm definitely going to utilize the holes, and I'm just going to add the support that I have on my boat. I'm going to remove what he's got on there right now and go from there. I stopped the board just before it starts to curve around, so it's not pinching the plastic. So I cut that 2x6 right where it stops here. It doesn't go all the way into this corner. You could even, if you're real fancy, you could round your corner, router your corner on your wood and make it look real clean. That would be pretty cool. But for now, I'm just putting a piece of wood that's going to stop right here, and there's going to be a gap here. So now I'm going to cut the 2x6 at 37 inches.
Hey Terry, what kind of wood is that?
That's redwood. So it handles freshwater, saltwater, everything. I mean, gosh, if I could make this out of teak, that'd be great, but this 37-inch piece of wood would cost me about 300 bucks. So we make it out of redwood, so therefore there's no water rot or anything like that. So we could, when I'm done with your boat, you don't even need to paint this if you don't want to. I painted mine gray, but you could leave this just bare and it'll handle all the water you can throw at it. So that goes right here. I am actually going to make an adjustment here. I don't like that. I'm going to put an angle at the bottom of those. Basically, this is hitting that curve right there. So I'm going to kind of cut this little corner off and bevel it so it fits a little better. All right, I didn't actually show me cutting this, but I took a little notch out here. So kind of did that because there's this little corner right down here that kind of gets in the way. I think I had that problem with mine, and I just didn't worry about it. I think I may have even cut the board even shorter. So there we go from here. So now what we're going to do is drill 2 holes on this side right here and this side right here, and make a backing plate that goes inside. There's curvature right here that, if you wanted to route, put a curve right here at the bottom, it will fit into this curve a little better, a little more clean. There's all sorts of stuff you guys can do. This is kind of giving you the basics of just how to get this done. So to make it to where the wood is flat against the plastic all the way down, there's going to be a little bit of a gap down here, because if you go all the way down, it's going to do that. There's going to be a gap. So you want to bring it up just a little bit, and then it puts it flat against the plastic, and then you drill in from there. All right, so the threaded rod that I'm using and the bolts that I'm using are all 5/16 bolts. So I've got a 5/16 drill, and I'm going to drill this way, hold it exactly where I want it, and then hold it tight, drill the holes where I want them all the way through, and then from there I'm able to build a backing plate based off where I drilled those holes. So when I put that backing plate in the hole on this side, they match up. So I'm going to mark this right here because this is not doing too well with a pencil, but it gives me just enough. I'm gonna mark it over here and over here after I really eyeball, make sure it's centered and it's not hitting this curve here. And so when I'm over here drilling, it's not, I know exactly where it's supposed to be, and I can drill with confidence.
You're really being a pain in the ass with this, and I really hate the fact that you're helping me, and
right?
I'm not.
Right. All right, so now I'm gonna drill here and here. Make sure you don't come too high, because this has got space, you gotta clear that. So I can't go too low, because I can't get the drill in here because of this being in the way. So I'll drill basically right about there and right about there. So therefore, the plate that I'm going to put in there will have longitudinal support, not this way, because the board's going to want to torque this way. So you want them to be this way, so you have leverage on the bracing. If you put them this way, then it's kind of like a fulcrum. So you don't want that. You want it to be nice and tight up and down, because the board wants to tip up and down. When you drill in, you want to make sure that the hole, when it goes through here, that you got enough space to put the washers in. So don't drill that hole too high and get too close to this. You need about 3/4 of an inch below. So therefore, the washer you put, or the spacer you put in there has space to brace. Space to brace. Huh. I'm a poet and didn't know it. After you've drilled that first hole, the chances of it slipping on your second hole is pretty good. So go get a bolt, put it through there, keeps it lined up, so then you drill the second hole, the third hole, the fourth hole. And then start with that one, put it in here, and then that holds that in place right where it needs to be. Once I got that bolt in, I'm gonna get this side lined up and just, eyeball it, come over here and make sure that this lines up with this. There we go. So now, while it's loose, it's at least held in place where we want it in the finished product. It's nice and flush with the transom. It's about the same height, it's a little bit lower. So now we drill the second and the third holes, making sure you leave enough room for the second washer. What we're gonna do, now that we know all the bolts go in, they're all aligned how you want them, take it off, turn it over. Now you know the template for which you're gonna make the backing plate that goes inside here. You could use the same washers that I'm using everywhere else, but being the fact that it's holding this entire piece of wood on against this plastic, I like to make an actual backing plate. So this is a 2" by 1/8 inch thick, 2 by 1/8 aluminum bar. So I'm going to measure here to see how much space I've got between this hole and the top. So therefore, when I put it here, I'm going to measure that. So when I drill the holes, I don't have too much material coming up, and then it won't fit right here. So from the top of the hole to about, about 1/8 of an inch below this, because you got to account for the thickness. So that bar needs to go no more than 7/8 of an inch past here. So take here, take this, mark 7/8 of an inch, and that's as far as your bar wants to go up. You can go as far down as you want, because there's all sorts of room below that, but you don't want to go any higher. Otherwise you'll crowd this and you could crack this little curved spot because you tighten it down on there. I put that to here, and I know that when that bar is in here, it's not going to hit the plastic that's right above it. And then you just mark it. And I would mark it all the way down to the end of this, because that maximizes how much bracing there is behind this. If you go any further, it won't really do anything because there's not a whole lot to brace it with anyway. It curves off and around to here. There you go, thanks. All right, so get this plate right where you marked it. Make sure that when you do that, it's centered. You could use a clamp here if you want to hold it in place. And just do a quick hole punch, right centered. And there you go. Hole and hole. Now you drill 5/16 holes in there, and that will totally match that. Just make sure that you put it in, you know, the right side up. When you put it in, you're going to want it to be upwards so you know that the spacing is correct. Now that we've got all the backing plates all drilled and the right spacing on the top, so now what I do, I got the backing plates ready to go. I'm going to put this on here, and then I'm going to trace. This is kind of just an aesthetics thing. I'm going to trace a line where this is, and then kind of just gradually come up so it looks, you know, kind of looks pretty and angled or whatever, and then cut that off, and then we can put it all together. Next, we'll just take the wood back out, cut it with a jigsaw. It definitely looks a lot nicer than mine. I just cut mine with a Sawzall. Now we're going to put all the bolts together, sandwich it in, and then from there we will do the through bolts that go through here. Now the bolts are in here. Put the backing plates on. I'll show you the finished product when I'm all done with the camera. It's kind of hard to watch me do this, but I'm basically going to put on the short side, that's going up, and it's going to mirror these bolts. All right, well, now this is mounted. Now what we're going to put in here is the through bolts that support the top and the bottom of the transom. Once you've got this positioned, you want to take this threaded rod. We're going to be cutting this later. You drill your holes here. I had to do a little bit of work here to get his holes adjusted. It was a little bit high, but we lowered them so that it would match here. Otherwise they'd be going downward. And what you do to mark your holes, come through, put it wherever you want them. I suggest having them parallel in both directions, you know, squared off. You know, make sure you put your washer on there and make sure it clears the top of that. Don't drill too high, it looks like crap. So do that, and then just take the rod here and then kind of turn it and then cut a hole in there. I was a little low there, so that's the one I'm going to go into. If you have a long 5/16 drill bit, it is much easier to leave this on and just put the drill through here and then drill exactly where you marked it, because then it has the exact angle that the rod is already at, because you're using that hole and that hole as a guide. Me, I have to take this back off and drill it. Excuse me. I have to drill it separately because I can't find that long 12-inch drill bit that I have. I ended up having to use a neck size bigger than 5/16 just to help the rod get through here, because I had to test the rod itself. But now it's all together. we can actually start sizing the rod out. So we put this through. We've got the whole threaded rod. We'll cut that as we go, but put the threaded rod through here, put this washer first, then you put a non-locking nut on, and you put another non-locking nut on. That doesn't have to go on as far, obviously. That can be way up here. But you put this one down here, and then you slide that through the hole just to where it comes through over here. And then you put a washer and a nut and a locking nut there. Stainless steel washer and a nylock nut. And then what you do, use a pair of pliers to hold the rod so it doesn't spin. Tighten that nylock nut to where it's just starts to come out just a little bit. So it's engaging the nylon locking part. Then take that, pop it back in. That stays there. Then you come over here, you tighten this like that, and you only tighten this. You do not tighten the one on this side. You want that one to stay there. You also don't want to tighten this with any of this tight yet. All you're doing is squeezing the wood. So it squeezes the wood in its natural angled position, so there's no force on it back and forth before you even put the thing together. You're just tightening this to where it's nice and cinched down while holding the rod with pliers, because it'll spin, and then you're making that as tight as you can get it. It's not going to hurt it, just tighten it down. It's going to squish the washers a little bit, but you want that as tight as possible. Then you come here, run that all the way down. Now, because this is all tight right here, this shouldn't move anymore. So then you tighten this down just enough to see that the plastic's really starting to bow in. And what you're gonna see here is you're gonna see this plastic start to push in, because there's a lot of space in there. When they put the wood that's in here, they left a huge gap in there. So this is gonna tighten down quite a bit before it starts to really engage anything. So once you feel it kind of tightening up and it feels like it wants to push this out, you want to stop there. But like I said, you want to squeeze that plastic in before you put the one on this side, because there's a lot of space in there. Just keep wiggling it, seeing if it's kind of cinching down a little bit. All right, so that felt like it really started to bottom out on the wood that's in there. As you can see how this kind of deviated the plastic? It's kind of curved and it's pushed in now. That's just because that's how much space there was to take up. So by doing this part right here, you're bringing all this plastic and wood and sandwiching it together nice and tight. So once you got this nut here sandwiched and snugged, stop there. Now it's time to come over here and cut this off, and then put and when you cut this, make sure you cut it as smoothly as possible, because it makes it easier to get the nut threaded on there. If you cut it real jagged, you're going to have to work with a wire brush or whatever to get the threads smooth to get the nut on there. So now we're going to grab a saw and we're going to chop that off to right about there, just to give us enough room to thread it on, and then I can trim it again later. So this is what I was talking about, cutting threads clean. Makes it kind of hard to get on there if you're a little off when you cut. So now you tighten this down, and then what you want to do is you want to tighten this to where you just start to see this deviate a little bit and go in. You want to stop there. But you don't want to move the angle of the transom. And the rest of the tightening you do on this side, and you just cinch it up nice and tight. And you double check this. Get that nice and tight. So you want this and this to be tightened on its own. Just squeezing this, not pulling on this either way. Because if you do that, you change the angle of either one. And then you put tension where there shouldn't be tension. You only want tension when the motor puts tension on it. So here's the finished product, everybody. Told you I'd give you a tour. It was all done. It's all tightened down. Nothing's moving this thing. I'll let you see the inside there. There's that backing plate I was telling you I was going to show you. A couple of washers, washer on each one, a lock nut, and then there we go. Alan, you got yourself a, I don't know, I think we can put a 9.9 on this puppy. What do you think?
Well, I don't know about a 9.9. My name isn't Terry. But
Crazy Terry.
I'm totally happy with where I think my 3.5 is going to be on this.
Oh, that's right. You only have it. So he only has a 3.5, and it actually flexed on that transom.
It flexed a lot after when on hot days when the plastic warmed up.
Yep.
It would really start to flex.
Yeah.
So now I'm really looking forward to being able to throttle that thing all the way up. And, you know, I'm not a little guy. I'm a big boy. So we're looking forward to seeing this transom in action.
Yeah. It'll be nice. I went fishing with him once, and I looked in the back of his boat, and I mean that 3.5 was kicking way under. I mean, this thing was just tweaking really bad. So now this locks it in. So yes, he can handle a bigger motor, but he doesn't need it. He doesn't need a bigger motor. He fishes the harbors primarily. He doesn't do the offshore stuff like I do. I'm pretty nuts, but I'm really glad I was able to do that for you. And
I'm super excited, man. I can't wait. Now we got to go do some fishing.
Oh, we got to go fish. Thanks, Alan, for letting me cut into your boat. And like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video.
Next video. Thanks, buddy.
You're welcome.